Where was I? Right, Hughes. The death of Maes Hughes is one of the most tragic events within Fullmetal Alchemist. We got to know him and know his family. He was a warm and cheery character who loved his wife and daughter and wanted nothing more than to see his friend succeed at his goal. And even after his death, his presence never really went away. We went to his funeral and got to see his wife and daughter adjust to the loss. It's impressive to me that this character's death had so much meaning to it. It wasn't just mindless. It had purpose. The Fullmetal Alchemist movie does none of these things, and it's all for the worse. Gracia has one scene in this movie, and that's it. And no, I don't count this, because the way they do this is stupid. Also, it's not her. Alicia isn't even born yet, which makes me not really care about Hughes' death in this movie. Hell, it just occurred to me that the one thing Maes Hughes does like clockwork, you know, that thing about loving his family excessively.
I'm telling you, Roy, it's a trip. Ever since she got pregnant, she's turned hotter than a love goddess. It's the miracle of hormones. It's like this angel flew down from heaven and kissed her on the...
Not here. Don't get me wrong, in the scene these two share with each other, they seem very genuine, but it's not enough. So yes, this character ultimately dies. And they manage to ruin his death. Hughes is killed because he uncovers a conspiracy within his own government, which is a pretty big deal. It's something the main antagonists don't want people to find out about. In the movie, he's killed because he figures out where Lab 5 is. Now, to me, that's fucking lame. In the books, Maria Ross knows where Lab 5 is. It may as well be public knowledge. In the movie, it's more secretive, but General Hakuro shows up and is like, "It's here, you fucking dipshits. Am I the only one who does his job around here?" He's lying, yes, but he is confirming that it exists. We'll get to Hakuro later. But they still play it out as if Hughes has uncovered some sort of horrible truth. In the books, he's actually looking things up, opening old case files, sticking his nose where it doesn't belong. Here, he's just muttering shit that he can't actually prove, and then he discovers where Lab 5 is. I wouldn't even have a problem with that if his actual murder was handled well, and it isn't. In the books and in both of the shows, Maes Hughes is approached by the homunculus Envy, disguised as Maria Ross. Hughes sees through this and promptly goes to attack, only to pause when Envy quickly changes into Gracia, Hughes' wife. He is then promptly shot.
What you say?
From there, the blame of Hughes' death is placed upon Maria Ross. That's not what happens in the movie. Here, it's almost the same, but they make it so that it's Roy Mustang who's framed for Hughes' death. A frame job that lasts all of 2 seconds. I'm gonna break this down real slowly. This movie lies to you and is poorly shot. Hughes turns to see Roy, and we see a close-up of the gun as the trigger is pulled. Keep that in mind. Now watch this scene unfold.
Oi, Hughesか? どうした? Oi.
お前、誰だ?
いい演出だろ?
Okay, are you seeing this? This is bad filmmaking. I'm not claiming to be perfect or capable of doing better, but just follow me. This shot doesn't make any sense. The first big mistake was having Hughes already facing Envy. This doesn't give him the room to make the surprise attack. If anything, he should have flicked the knife out while facing Envy and just lunged forward. I know that doesn't make much sense, but he's backed into a corner with a gun in his face. What other option does he have? He doesn't have the opportunity to perform a surprise attack, and yet they proceed to have him spin around awkwardly in a fashion that doesn't make any sense. He takes his eyes off Envy for no reason other than to recreate the imagery of the manga and or anime, and yet both of those formats convey the motion better. It doesn't hurt to watch this. Okay, emotionally it does, but it doesn't hurt my brain. And on top of all of that, Envy shoots Maes when he looks like Gracia, not when he looks like Roy. This shot lies to you. It is actively deceiving you. The worst part is, it doesn't have to. This is the only time we see Gracia, ever. So why the hell bring her up here? You could have just had fake Roy shoot him and be done with it. But more importantly, why is Maria Ross even in this movie if she's not the one being framed for Hughes' death? My brain! We're not done. We're so not close to being done. There's still more. The movie lies. It lied to you even before it came out. There are 2 posters that were produced, and both of them are blatant lies. Al likes cats in the books and shows, so here he is depicted with a cat in his armor, an image that isn't unfamiliar to fans. That is never brought up ever. There are no cats in this movie. A catastrophe, if you ask me. But the biggest lie is the inclusion of Riza Hawkeye's dog. Yes! Black Hayate is featured on the poster next to her, and he is not in this film, and that is a travesty! The posters feel as if they were made to feed off of fans' emotions. Show them the cute animals! People like cute animals! That'll get them to see them film even more! The audio is just lacking in every way. In Fullmetal Alchemist, whenever alchemy is performed, there's almost a performance to it. Every act of transmutation has a punch to it, and you can hear it in the sound effects. Ed's claps ring loud and clear, and the same thing goes for Roy Mustang's finger snaps. It's like fanfare. The movie's version is so weak and pitiful, it's downright pathetic sounding. There's no oomph, no life to it. It is sad. Okay, so they arrest Ed because they think he's a co-conspirator, and they also arrest Hawkeye too. Her exact words are, so what, Roy Mustang only had 2 subordinates? Where's the rest of the chess team? You know what really bothers me? Riza Hawkeye's name is never actually said. Did you know that? She's only ever referred to as Lieutenant. Now, considering how important Hawkeye actually is, I'm kind of shocked. Especially when towards the end of the movie, these 2 suddenly have a thing for each other? Despite the fact that these 2 have barely had any screen time together and have not once ever had an actual conversation with each other. Like, bitch, I don't even know your name! As far as the movie is concerned, your name is Lieutenant! The scene in the tunnel is so poorly constructed. This is the first big showdown between the state and the homunculi. This should be a really cool action scene. Instead, it's the goofiest thing I've ever seen. So Roy Mustang lights Maria Ross on fire because that's kind of what he does in the original story too, kind of, but it turns out to be envy. Why? Because they wanted to do the whole Maria Ross mole thing. It's so dumb. But it gets dumber. After Envy reveals himself, Lust and Gluttony come prancing through the line of soldiers, and everyone just sort of stands there. What are these idiots doing? Why aren't they firing? They just watched a woman burn alive only to get back up and turn into a different person. Why hasn't anyone started blasting these guys? Like an episode of Power Rangers! Go, Power Rangers! And this is what I mean when I say that these 2 suddenly have a thing for each other. Up until this point, Roy Mustang has been depicted as being rather cold-hearted. He doesn't seem to really care about anyone or anything. So him standing in the way of Lust's attack to protect Hawkeye comes out of left field. And from this moment on, they act like these 2 have some sort of special bond, which just isn't the case. Okay. We're at the final stretch. And this is where the movie decides to just give up. So Ed finds a chamber with the same transmutation circle that's seen on Dr. Marco's note, once again making that note pointless. And for some reason, Shao Tucker is back? For some reason? That phrase, for some reason, is a perfect descriptor of this movie. And none of this makes sense. How did you subdue not one, but two people at the same time? Sure, he has a gun, and yes, one of them is a tiny girl, but the other is a 7-foot-tall suit of armor. I can understand Tucker managing to kidnap Winry. My god, this is fan fiction. But how did Tucker manage to take down Alphonse? What did he do to paralyze him? How did he sneak these two into this building undetected? This place is guarded like Fort Knox, and you're telling me this scrawny 40-year-old dude managed to drag this 140-pound little girl and this hulking suit of armor halfway across town?
正直君のおかげで助かったよ。私にも魂を物体に定着させる秘密がようやく分かったんだ。いや、正確には君の弟のおかげと言った方がいいかな。真理の扉を覗いてもらったんだよ。私の代わりにね。
What? When? When did you do that? And why? Why do you care about bonding souls to objects? You literally say in a few seconds that you don't care about the Philosopher's Stone. What is your plan here?
君みたいな天才が才能を無駄にする瞬間をね。
Okay. That's fine. That's perfectly reasonable. I mean, he did ruin your life. At least that makes sense. How did Ed not notice these giant tanks filled with Philosopher's Stones? They are right above Tucker. It is impossible to miss these things. And then just like that, they kill Tucker. Like, that whole interaction was pointless. What, was this some sort of excuse to get Al and Ed in the same room together? Maybe if the movie wasn't so keen on separating them, then this wouldn't be a problem. But there are a lot of scenes where the two of them just aren't seen with each other. The longest scene these two share is when they're beating the shit out of each other. That's horrible!
Fullmetal Alchemist, the movie. Are you trying to kill me? Because you're doing a pretty good job.
こんなこと指示した覚えはないわよ。
Oh joy, I get to talk about General Hakuro! For this, we need to back up a bit. Here's the funny thing. Hindsight is 2020. Having now watched this movie a good 3 or 4 times over, it is blatantly obvious that Hakuro is the bad guy in this movie, and yet it's also not. When I first saw Hakuro show up in this movie, I was taken aback. Not because he doesn't look anything like Hakuro, he doesn't, and not because it doesn't make any sense, but rather because it's Hakuro. General Hakuro doesn't do anything, except for get his ear shot off. He's so unimportant that him being in this movie is just strange. The whole time I'm watching it, I was just thinking, what is he doing here? He's of so little importance. So when it comes down to the reveal that he's been the one making Philosopher's Stones, it genuinely shocked me for all of the wrong reasons. This wasn't some, oh my god, revelation. It was, what the fuck? So what is General Hakuro's plan? Why does he need that many Philosopher's Stones? To make the dummy army. Yes, those weird zombie things that were made to attack Briggs? Yeah, they're in this movie. I don't understand, and I'm not going to think about it. If I do, my head might explode, Scanner style.
違うの。
ウィンリー。
私が捕まって。
What in the fuck? Why is Winry inside Alphonse? When did she get in there? Why evoke imagery from the second chapter where Rose is hiding inside Al so that they can have her learn the truth of Cornello's deceit? Can we talk about Winry for a second? Why is she here? I don't mean in this room. Winry just sort of shows up in the movie. It happened so early on that I kind of ignored it, but I actually have to ask, why is she here? The only reason she comes out to see Ed in the first place is to fix his arm. And the only reason she stays with them is because they have to travel through Rush Valley, which is essentially auto-male heaven. This girl lacks her mechanical limbs, let me tell you what. But here, she just shows up the exact moment Ed gets his arm damaged. And after she fixes it, something we don't see, she's just sort of there? Like window dressing? It's kind of insulting. Alright, so Roy Mustang is fighting the two homunculi, Envy and Lust. Gluttony fucked off somewhere, I don't know. This fight between the three of them is highly reminiscent of the fight between Roy Mustang, Lust, and Gene Havoc. Who the hell is that, you might be asking? Well, I ought to ask you a few questions myself. Mainly, how the hell did you get through this video up until this point not knowing a thing about Fullmetal Alchemist? Like, that's impressive. Do you just not give a shit about spoilers or what? Gene Havoc is a character who is among the chess team, or at least that's what I like to call them. Each one of Roy Mustang's subordinates represents a chess piece. Havoc represents the knight, the main enforcer. Havoc is a good soldier and a very trustworthy friend to Roy Mustang, and having him not be in this movie affects this fight. At this point in the fight, Havoc has been horribly paralyzed, something Roy Mustang holds himself personally accountable for. That makes him angry. Really fucking angry. Anger is actually a very crucial part of his character, as it slowly starts to consume him. He comes very close to letting his rage fully engulf him and turn him into a totally different person. Here, that rage isn't present, making the moment when Roy Mustang pulls Lust's heart out feel meh. It looks the same, sure, but there's no point behind it. Even when he fights Envy, the guy who admittedly killed his best friend and who is the subject of his rage, it's so weak. There's no fury behind it, no aggression. This movie castrated Roy Mustang. Also, that's not how flame alchemy works. Holy shit. Oh hey, Terminator 2, I love that movie. And thus, the movie ends. Thank God. But if you're watching this video, you might notice something. What's that down there on the timeline bar? There's still quite a bit of time left in this video. Did you think we were done? Nay. Nay, I say. Nay and nay again. We're far from done. We still have to talk about one other thing. The English dub. When I first watched the movie, I only had the option of watching it with subtitles and the Japanese audio. Not a big deal to me. However, at the time of me making this video, Netflix released an English dub, and I heard that some of the original anime cast were brought in to reprise their roles. So, I curiously watched, and my mind was blown. Only 3 characters have their original voice actors from what I can tell. Ed, Al, and Winry. That's fine. I would have liked it if Travis Willingham came back as Roy Mustang, but whatever. Caitlin Glass is back as Winry, which is great. I absolutely have no problems with that. Now, Vic Mignogna is back as Ed, which makes total sense. But can somebody explain to me what the hell is up with his audio?
Hey, Gramps, why don't you just give me that ring? Huh? Now you know the truth. He's not a pastor who can perform miracles.
What is going on? He sounds like shit. Was he recording in a cardboard box? Caitlin Glass's audio is fine.
It's been so long.
But the second Vic starts talking, it sounds like my headphones are broken. I actually thought that. I thought my headphones were starting to give. I played his audio out of my computer monitor speakers, and I got the same thing. I even tested it on my PS4 with the sound coming out of my TV speakers, and it's still there. What happened? I really want to know. But Vic's audio is nothing. Nothing compared to Alphonse. This isn't a negative, but it's just so strange that it caught me off guard, more so than General Hakuro being the secret puppet master. Alphonse Elric has been portrayed by 2 different voice actors, Aaron Dismuke and Maxie Whitehead. What an unfortunate last name. Anyway, Maxie Whitehead played Al in the 2009 series Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, and she did an awesome job. But before her, Al was played by Aaron Dismuke. So what happened? Why did they switch actors? Well, Maxie Whitehead was 28 when she portrayed Alphonse, and Aaron Dismuke was 12 when he played Al. Yes, Funimation made the bold choice of having a child actor portray the child character, and they were exceptionally lucky.
Humankind cannot gain anything without first giving something in return. To obtain, something of equal value must be lost. That is alchemy's first law of equivalent exchange. In those days, we really believed that to be the world's one and only truth.
Aaron Dismuke, for being 12, was an incredibly talented voice actor. He showed a dynamic range of emotion for someone so young. Very impressive. Small problem. Puberty hit that kid like a ton of bricks! They actually couldn't have him play the character anymore because his voice had changed so drastically. The last time Dismuke played Alphonse Elric was in Fullmetal Alchemist, The Conqueror of Shambhala, and the only reason they kept him around was because the character had aged significantly. But even then, you can hear Dismuke's voice crack a lot in that movie. Because he's a squeaky-voiced teen going through puberty. It's kind of funny. So, given all that, who do you think they got to play Al in this movie? You would think it's Maxie Whitehead, and you would be wrong.
That must be how you got your nickname.
I think you must mean my brother, not me.
They got Aaron Dismuke back. What the actual fuck?
But it's true. My brother is so good that he can perform alchemy without drawing a transmutation circle.
I'm not complaining. I'm not. It's just a strange decision. It's bizarre hearing his voice again after so many years. It's like seeing a friend you used to hang out with a lot back in the day after zero communication with them for years. The Fullmetal Alchemist movie is honestly one of the worst movie-going experiences I've had in a long time, and it happened in my own living room. It's horribly paced, things don't make sense, and it's all around not very enjoyable. The only real positive thing I can say is that it makes me appreciate Fullmetal Alchemist more than I already did, both the books and the TV shows. I want to thank you all for joining me again, listening to me ramble like a madman. I'm Marcus, and I hope you'll join me next time in the future. And before you guys head out, I just wanted to say thank you. This channel just recently hit 80 subscribers, and I had originally recorded a thing thanking you for 65, so I don't really have any other words but words of gratitude, so thank you. I appreciate it greatly, and I hope you'll stick with me for hopefully another 80. I'll see you guys around. Stay safe.